last week I reported on the Nancy Pelosi, Pope Francis meeting out of the Vatican. As far as I can tell, not one mention of abortion in their conversation, which was very troubling as Catholics, I would say. And I reported on that, did a What's Concerning Us, posted that to my new YouTube channel. But a lot of people were coming back and saying, what about that Freemason handshake? Or said another way, what about that Freemasonics secret handshakes going down there? You know,
Freemasonics.
And so I thought this is a conversation for the one and only David L. Gray. So we've had this conversation in the past, you and I. I am a former third degree Master Mason of the Blue Lodge. You were what, 32nd degree Scottish Rite? I can't remember. Remind me one more time.
Yeah, 32nd Scottish Rite, and then York Rite, Royal Arch, Royal Select, Knights Templar, Eastern Star.
College you with.
Stuff. What for someone who's not familiar with Freemason terminology, it just sounded like a bunch of gobbledygook to me. What does all that mean?
It's secret. Not allowed to tell him, David.
And that's exactly what we're getting to the handshake. I mean, right? I mean, what is? I mean, it looks. You know, of all the time I spent in Freemasonry, you know, York Rite, Scottish Rite, some of the pendant orders. I've never seen such a weird looking handshake. Granted, as Catholics, I mean, we know that Freemasons and what they believe, you know, bad stuff. But one thing we have to give them, these guys have cool handshakes, cool gear, right? I mean, and this handshake just looks weird. Right. Look, the first rule about a secret society, don't tell your secrets, right?
Exactly.
But people think that the Masons are out here just giving away their secret handshakes in this photo op. And
right.
Again, it looks weird. I mean, if this is the handshake of a secret order, what is it? The secret order of thumb wrestling? The secret order of photo ops? The secret order of heretics? I mean, what is this?
Yeah, exactly.
So it just looks. I mean, come on. I mean, let's get to some basic things though. So when Freemasons they do have secret handshakes, obviously.
Yes.
But again, the first rule about being a secret society is you don't disclose your secrets. So most people would never see Freemasons give a handshake that's part of their degree order, because one is going to be, their bodies are going to be very close to one another. Second, they're going to take their left hand and cover the right hand with it. Generally, there's generally going to be a word they exchange with one another that's associated with that degree handshake. Mm-hmm. And again, it's not that long. They don't just sit there and take pictures with it.
Extended periods of time. I'll never forget when I finished, maybe it was the third degree. I can't remember. It's been so long ago now. That I wanted to take a picture with my father, and this was a big celebratory moment, and I had the apron on, and I wanted to like do the hand signal, right, of that particular degree, and the Grand Master of the Lodge was like, "Don't ever take a picture doing that ever."
Yeah, that's a violation.
He said, "You just swore a blood oath to be killed, torn in twain, to have your innards ripped out if you disclose the secrets." And here you are taking a picture seconds later.
You're not very good at this whole secret society thing, Joe.
I wasn't very good at being a Mason at all.
But you know, it's funny though, because David,
it just didn't stick well with you, did it?
No, it didn't.
It was pretty funny because over the weekend I was meeting with a friend after church, and he was saying goodbye, and he just like hands me his left hand in like the weirdest way, and I was like, dude, what's up with this Freemason handshake? But I think the thing that I was just trying to get across was just that sometimes you just accidentally do weird things.
Yeah,
your body just happens. It just happens, especially when you get older. It just happens. Your hands just don't do the right thing. And me and my buddy, we're both younger guys, and he just puts his left hand out, and I grabbed his left hand with my right hand, and it was like the weirdest thing. And I'm just like, what the heck? So what is your analysis of what exactly happened here?
Yeah, and then Freemasons never use their left hand when they shake. I mean, I don't know if Freemasons are not ambidextrous, but again, but so a couple things. I like your point, Adrian. Was it so? This is her, to my knowledge, I don't know how many times she met the Pope, but maybe she's nervous. Perhaps, you know, that's an answer. Perhaps she's trolling people who like to say Pope Francis is a Freemason. Maybe she's trolling them. All right. So that's also a possibility. But what's really concerning me, what's really going on here is that people are really concerned about one of the people we could probably put on par with some of the most evil people in the world responsible for others' deaths. And she's here having an audience with the Pope at the Vatican, and the Pope looks rather giddy, all right, to meet Nancy Pelosi. And so I think the whole, what's going on with the Masonic handshake, I think it had turned out to be a really great diversion from talking about. I know, Joe, you talked about it, obviously, but
in fact, a lot of the comments on my video that I posted were like, "Why don't you talk about the Freemason handshake?" I'm like, because that's not a thing here in this circumstance. What is a thing is you have one of the most notorious pro-abortion Catholic politicians meeting with the Vicar of Christ on earth, and abortion is not on the agenda to discuss. Talk about a teachable moment. Talk about what an opportunity to dialogue with someone, to meet them where they're at, to journey with them, to smell like the sheep, the whole 9 yards, is to have a conversation around what the Pope Francis himself refers to as murder. And they don't discuss that. That's rather peculiar, don't you think? And so to talk about this handshake, which to me, as a guy who learned this handshake as a Freemason, it just seems like two old people holding hands for a photo op, and it just looks awkward.
Yeah, it does look really awkward. And so I know what's on the table, of course, is things, such as public policy and legislation, things like global warming, things that they think they can agree with, right? And I think that's probably going to be on the table in a few weeks or so when President Biden comes. And so, of all the things we could talk about that should concern us, we're diverted, right? And so I think it's really concerning, and it's unfortunate.
Yeah. Now, there's also a secret emergency sign like you'd make in case if your life was in danger and you needed help fast. You could give this secret sign that would and say certain things that would alert Freemasons around you to have to come to your rescue. And last week I was talking about how there's a cool Freemason version of the Texas Independence that Santa Anna gave this sign when he was captured by the Texians, and his life was spared as a result to it. Is it true? I don't know. But Sam Houston was a Freemason, so it's possible. But here's another question: you were far more advanced than I was in the Freemasons. Do Freemasons teach the ladies the secret handshake?
See, that's another great point, Joe. You're such a great radio host. You should do this.
Are you listening, Adrian, to this? I think you should take note. I mean, David is astute. He's insightful. He's obviously good looking. So
sorry, I couldn't hear
attention.
That. Sorry,
pay attention, Adrian.
Yeah, so I heard some people out there commenting that, well, it couldn't have been a Masonic handshake because women cannot be Freemasons. Hundreds, maybe thousands of women Freemasons throughout the world. Now, granted, you're Freemasons who descend from the Grand Lodges of England, Ireland, Scotland, France, Italy, these places. They're not consider women Freemason lodges or co-Masonic lodges, men and women. They don't consider them to be regular. But yes, there are plenty. Freemasons don't have some sort of lockdown code on their ritual. Anybody could buy a ritual and start a Masonic lodge. That'd be a horrible thing to do, but it's out there. So yeah, you have women Freemasons. So, but with Nancy Pelosi, there's no evidence of her ever being one. So yes, no, Freemasons ought not to ever teach their spouses or daughters any Masonic secrets, but you do have women Freemasons.
So these women lodges, which I guess I was unaware of those, they actually have the same rituals as the male versions?
And they do abbreviate them a little bit, whether it's a co-Masonic lodge or just a straight female Masonic lodge. Obviously, the parts where they strip down to their undergarments, they abbreviate that or they modify that to have just cover garments overall.
Oh, yeah. So guys are the only ones that get stripped down to the bare essentials. I see how that works.
Yeah, there's no equality.
None.
Freemasonry. Yeah.
Zero zilch. We're talking with David L. Gray about this meeting between Nancy Pelosi and Pope Francis last week and their handshake, which garnered a lot of attention on social media about whether or not they were exchanging a Freemason handshake. I guess it's our opinion anyway that that that's probably not the case. It's just two old people in an awkward handshake, but a little too giddy nonetheless. Now, maybe the last minute or so we have with you, David, you can reiterate why the church teaches it is forbidden to be a member of secret societies.
Yeah. Since 1738, that's been the rule that's been in place by Pope Clement the 12th. Freemasonry as an organization that we see today as an organization comes online about 1717. Pope Clement XII is quite aware of this. There's Masonic rituals that's out there. Freemasons have a constitution that becomes public. And he puts a ban in place, prohibits Catholics from ever becoming Freemasons due to some theological reasons of indifferentism. Basically, Freemasonry puts people on a different path, and they deny the grace is needed for conversion. And this ban remains in place until today. It's been reiterated by many popes, most eloquently by Leo XIII in Humanium Generis, where he built upon that. He called Freemasonry naturalism, which elevated to a new level. So along with communism in 1949, these are two organizations that Catholics can never belong to under the pain of excommunication. Today, we consider excommunication. If you belong to Freemasonry or join it, you cannot receive Holy Communion. So you're not in communion with the church.
And so the claims of infiltration in the church, I personally feel like Europe, Italy in particular, Mexico, we've seen even in Spain and other places, it's been pretty intense conflict between the church and Freemasons, but maybe not so much in the United States. So you got about 60 seconds. What say you?
Yeah. So, the thing about Freemasonry, I think we've had a lot of inquisitions throughout the history of the church trying to root out evil, right? Two inquisitions we never had, probably should have had, not killing people, but just rooting these people out of the church was Freemasons, communists, and probably today homosexuals. And so that's never happened, and it should have happened.
All right, well, we're going to have to leave it there, but maybe we'll have you back and explore that a little further. But David O'Gray, God love you, God bless you. Thank you for your time today. Tune in to David on the GRN every Wednesday at 4 p.m. Central.